A very good morning to everyone present here. With warm greeting, it gives me immense pleasure to welcome our distinguished speaker for today, Professor H.S. Ashok sir, retired Professor of Department of Psychology, Bangalore University, and visiting faculty, Center for Education and Social Studies, Bengaluru, who has agreed to deliver a talk on psychological strategies to deal with the pandemic. Amidst his busy schedule, Sir is with us today virtually. On behalf of everyone present here, I heartily welcome you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
I take this privilege to welcome the Chief Executive of our college, Professor K.S. Suresh, sir, who is also virtually with us today. I extend a warm welcome to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
I welcome our beloved principal, Dr. S. Nataraju, sir, teaching and non-teaching faculty, students, and esteemed audience. I welcome the who are from diversified institution. I welcome you all.
Thank you. Okay. Sir, tavu another maatadtira sir? See sir. Okay. Good morning to one and all. So at the outset, my respectful pranams to His Holiness Jagadguru, Sri Shivaratri Deshikendra Swamiji. So we are organizing this program under the IQSA banner through our Department of Sports. Sir, as you know that health is a very important, especially during the pandemic situations. So in order to create an awareness and also a conscious about the very important, the psychological strategies to deal with pandemic, we are organizing this program. So health is, as you know that the health is a state of physical. Health is a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease. So the psychological behavior and the mental conditions is equally important. So I think this the talk on psychological strategies to deal with enlighten us how we have to maintain our the psychological and mental the state of health. So with this, I take this opportunity to extend once again I extend a hearty welcome to Professor H.S. Ashok, Professor of Department of Psychology, Bangalore University, and all other present, including our CE. So over to you, sir.
Thank you.
Sir, with your permission, can I say a few key words about you?
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Introduction about the speaker.
Dr. Ashok H.S. is an adjunct faculty at Center Education and Social Studies, served Bangalore University as faculty in the Department of Psychology for over 35 years, served as a chairman, Board of Studies, Board of Examinations, served as member of Board of Examination, Board of Studies for other universities in Karnataka and outside Karnataka. Sir has guided 14 PhD candidates and 4 are under progress. Sir has worked in various research and other groups. Sir has also guided research in the area of Indian psychology, a comparative studies with India as Eastern and Western perspectives. Sir has written articles on adult learning at workplace, Hinduism perspectives. Sir has written articles in various other areas also. Sir is a consultant to organizations on psychometric test development, trainer in human related issues at the corporate. Sir has conducted various workshops for the students, parents on academics, interpersonal and parental issues. So I once again on behalf of everyone welcome to you, sir. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. So let me first thank the organizers, JSS Law College, and the other people who are responsible for organizing this. See, as rightly in the introduction itself, it is said that the health is a very important component. And I will start with what the importance of health, what are the dimensions of health and well-being, probably what is happening during a pandemic situation, what are the symptoms that are there, the strategies that could be made use of in order to address some of these psychological issues. And probably we are all optimistic, and when once the normalcy comes in, post-COVID situation also, how to cope up with that, because we would have been used to a particular way of life. And then when once normalcy comes back, how to deal, how to cope up with those components are concerned. I think this is how I have tried to structure my lecture. Okay. So when you say mental health, though we use the term mental health, World Health Organization says that health has 4 major dimensions. So the 3 dimensions, the earlier, your own people have said, physical, emotional, and social. And recently, the WHO also included one more dimension to the health, that is where the spiritual health also. So the physical health, I think probably all of you are familiar, physical fitness, thanks to development in the field of technology. So as a result of it, what is happening is, the work is becoming more and more simpler. Okay, job right now, when we talk in terms of this session itself, it is more virtual. And probably when you look at sitting on a hard stool or a chair in a classroom, and me standing in front of you and then delivering a lecture may involve certain amount of physical energy to be spent. But now with the virtual thing that is happening, so I can sit leisurely at my own house in my own comfortable chair, and all of you also sit there, and then probably you can also, you need not have to hear also, you can put on a record, and then afterwards you can, wherever you want to watch, you can do that. So the physical energy is becoming spending physical energy is becoming less and less. But again, on the other hand, we have, thanks to development in the field of technology, so job is becoming very simpler and easier. On the other hand, the development in the field of agriculture, etc. As a result of it, what is happening? We are getting much more richer, nutritious food, and we have not changed our habit of eating. Now with the pandemic in front of the screen, so what happens is the hand and the mouth are equally or almost all engaged. As a result of it, what is happening? Physical energy is not lost. Energy consumption is increasing. As a result of it, all your Madhya Pradesh is increasing. Okay. So as a result of it, what will happen? Some of the health issues that are coming in is because of the physical factor that is there. Emotional. So probably this is what more important component. I will be dealing with this slightly later on. Social. All our relationship is let us say affected. Though you may say, I have a lot of, let us say, I use technology. So WhatsApp is there, Twitter is there, Instagram is there, and all that. Despite all that sort of keeping in view or keeping in touch with the people, the actual relationship, the face-to-face relationship is totally lost. And one who is highly sociable by nature would find it very difficult to handle this sort of a situation is concerned. Spiritual is another factor. When you are emotionally affected, this is where in Kannada you have let us say a saying that Sankata Bandaga Venkataramana. This is where the Sankata is there, the pain is there, but you can't go to a temple because temple is closed. So this is where the spiritual component also comes into the picture. So you have the physical, emotional, social, and the spiritual factor is responsible, or the 4 aspects of let us say the health is concerned. And because of this particular pandemic or COVID-19, when we say it has affected several walks of life. One is the disruption of life. The entire life is being affected. So that is the daily routine which we are used to for right from the birth till this occurrence of this particular COVID-19. We were leading a particular way of life, and now suddenly you find there is a disruption of life. Economic aspect of life is being affected. So though you want to buy, though you want to go to market, though you want to, all that economic activity, right from manufacturing, distribution, and consumption is being affected. Social life is being affected. Health is affected. Education is affected. So what do you mean by that? So when we talk in terms of education, what do we learn? How do we learn? So there are different, let us say, types of learners. Okay. So everybody is not equal in their ability to learn. Probably we talk in terms of learning styles, those who are visualizers. So they want to see the blackboard and then try to, let us say, grasp and then understand what they see. There are certain, let us say, auditory people. So who can learn what they see or what they hear. And there is those who can read and write is a third type. and then those who want activity-based, and that's where they learn. All these 4 components would have been there in the offline education is concerned, whereas now with the online education is concerned, the education itself is affected. There is no scope for, let us say, the clarification, and then the type of technique that is being used, strategy that is being used in learning, teaching, evaluation is being affected. So this is where the effect of COVID-19 can be seen in all these aspects of life is concerned. Okay, so all these effects can be seen or can be classified into 4 major dimensions. The 4 major dimensions are work-life balance. How you used to balance your, let us say, work life. Work doesn't mean only the job is concerned. Even as a student also, you have your own, let us say, work with regard to the academic activities are concerned. So how do you balance between the work and the life? There are a number of cartoons that is coming up with regard to how individuals try to maintain, let us say, work-life balance. Now, we were talking in terms of 24/7, okay, with the advent of technological revolution. And this work itself has entered into the house. So when it has entered into the house, the household work is being affected, or whether the work is being affected by household work, or the or the household work is being affected by the work, tend to depend upon what role you play. So the male and the female, the students also tend to experience this sort of how to maintain balance between these 2 factors play an important role. The second factor is the time management. Now, this is an important factor. Now, when we say balance between the work and the life, how do you distribute the time is a major factor. Throughout the world, one of the main components for, let us say, the stress is found to be the time management. How do we manage time is an important factor. No matter what it is, the simpler, especially in our culture. So what we have is that we say that, the time is not there. Time is. That means there is an unwritten sanction for that. So they say, it's all right, don't repeat it. Next time you do this. So again, there was an interesting study with regard to the time management. All of us know that a day has only 24 hours. Now, a study was conducted wherein people were placed in an environment where the external light or the external conditions were not there. All watches and clocks and etc. was removed, and all of them were given a watch that consists of 28 hours. So they had 4 additional hours. Despite it, they said that the time was not sufficient. So this is where the problem is. So procrastination, postponement is a factor. So how to manage time is a factor. Okay, so how to deal with that, we will try to discuss slightly later on. The third one, social distancing. So how do we distance from the people? Now, again, I was talking in terms of, let's say, individual differences. Certain individuals try to make, their first immediate reaction would be shaking hands, hugging together with each other. So body contact is a major factor of giving them some sort of a comfort, and sharing their emotionality was with the help of this particular factor. Now, the social distancing, how do you maintain this particular social distancing is a factor that's been affected by the COVID-19. Then you have interpersonal relationships. How do you establish relationship? How do you maintain this relationship? See, when we talk in terms of interpersonal relationship, communication play an important role. So how do you communicate? Okay, so face-to-face interpersonal communication through, let us say, through your WhatsApp or other factor has its own, merits and demerits, or advantages and disadvantages. So this interpersonal relationship is being affected. How do you communicate? Communication, words may mean something, but the tone with which the word communicate may be totally lost if you send through WhatsApp or mail or etc. So this is where emotionality associated with your relationship and emotion and the words or the vocabulary that you use to communicate your feelings and ideas may tend to vary. And that is where your interpersonal relationship is being affected. So the major dimensions are work-life balance, time management, social distancing, and interpersonal relationships are concerned. Now, when we look at, let us say, the COVID or this pandemic, Now, this pandemic is affecting all type of people or all sections of people. Now, this particular slide talks about what are the different types of people, what are the possible risk factors that is associated with those dimensions that is being affected, and what are the positive psychological symptoms that are associated with that. Okay, so probably the first two may be or three may be an important factor, and the other three may not be of that importance to the audience that I am addressing. But anyway, let me see what is this. So children and adolescents, okay, if we take the first group as children and adolescents, we find the probable risk factor would be they are vulnerable to misinformation, disruption of daily routine. Now, this is what we find. Okay, so vulnerable to, let us say, misinformation. Okay, so when you switch on the TV, that's where they were saying that when the best way to avoid the emotional component would be turn your TV to the to the wall, because when you switch on the TV, almost all channels have their own version of let us say depicting the picture. Okay, so what happens there? Children are more vulnerable for susceptibility. Susceptibility means they are more prone to accept whatever they see, whatever they hear, etc. And then television is the most powerful media, wherein you find the pictures, you find the emotionality and all that being projected, and that's where they are more vulnerable to misinformation and disruption of daily routine. As a result of it, their daily routine is affected. Tend to see sit in front of the let us say TV, periodically checking what is the rate of those who have been affected, those who have been treated, and whether the the beds are available. All those issues that are there. Okay, so this is the possible risk factors that are there, and possible psychological symptoms are tantrums. Okay, you find clingy behavior, you find increased bedwetting if it is a small children, then repeated crying and substance use. So smoking can increase, the rate of smoking can increase, and these are all the let us say the factors which you can find. The second, elderly adults. So you find age is a major factor, and the medical comorbidities. So if you have blood sugar, if you have blood pressure, if you have heart ailment and all those factors, those are the risk factors that are there. And then as a result of which, the psychological symptoms are anxiety, some amount of what is likely to happen, whether I am affected. Okay, a slight cold or a cough itself mean, there was a joke that was being circulated. The housewife forgot to put salt into the dish that is being prepared, and then when they tasted it, all of them got a doubt that whether they have got, because tastelessness is one of the symptoms of let us say COVID, and as a result of it, so that is where the anxiety comes in. So a little act of this particular error or a symptom may be misinterpreted and resulting in increasing anxiety. Insomnia, lack of sleep, because of the anxiety, the lack of sleep would be disturbed. Depression, feeling low, and worsening of medical conditions. So as a result of, let us say, the psychological factor, physical functioning is also being affected. So that is with regard to the elderly adults. Those who are jobless and homeless persons, lack of support and uncertainty as to when the lockdown would be removed, and what are the, or let us say if it is a quarantine, when this particular quarantine would be removed or taken out, and all those factors that are there. And the possible psychological symptoms are again anxiety, insomnia, depression, stress disorders, and suicidal ideation. See, suicide is one of the factors where the individual gets an idea what is there in life. Okay, so nothing is there, I can't go out, I can't have the food of my choice, I don't have any work to do. So when that comes in, why I should live? Now this sort of a suicidal ideation, some may commit, those who are vulnerable, those who are weak in their mental state may commit suicide. Otherwise, people try to get repeated suicidal ideation. Now, suicidal ideation refers to, I feel that why I should not commit suicide. So this sort of an idea, thought, repeated thoughts can come in. So other three are the factors. So that is where persons diagnosed or suspected of COVID-19, healthcare providers, frontline workers, you say, So that is the other section of people. And then person with mental illness and substance use disorder, etc., are the other groups who also the risk factors associated with them also tend to vary, and possible psychological symptoms are also there. Okay, so that's how different sections of the people or the population gets affected by this particular COVID component. Okay. Now, some of the side effects people are facing from prolonged work from home or lockdown. Now, it's almost 1 year or 1.5 years or nearly 2 years, we are finding this, as a result of which some of the factors that we are finding now, the research also have shown that insomnia is increasing. Insomnia here refers to lack of sleep or disturbed sleep. So either it can be, sleep disorders of different types. So you tend to sleep at different times of the day or the night, or the duration of the sleep would be affected, or suddenly you may get up from your sleep because of the bad dreams, or those are all the factors that you may find. So insomnia or sleep disorder is one of the factors which you can find. Backache. So this is another factor. So sitting in front of a TV, sitting in front or in a particular place, a posture, even if it is a work from home. So anytime you are asked to log in, or the number of hours you have to sit in front of a screen may increase, and as a result of which, if no physical exercise is taken, now that may result in backache. Restlessness is another psychological symptom which you can find. Stress and anxiety, I think this point we have already talked about. Negatively affected family and interpersonal relations. Now, this is a factor. People get highly short-tempered, try to lose their temper immediately, start showing their anger and aggression with regard to, or with the other family members that are there. So especially when you look at urban families or nuclear families, the way in which the child or an adolescent or a young adult, normally we find, especially nowadays, these young adults, the way in which the houses are constructed, or when you talk in terms of a home, the home and the house, when you look at it, each individual has his own or her own, let us say, room, and then probably the computer or the other system may be there in the drawing room, or let us say there is only one system and 3 people have to make use of, so that gets affected. So all these resulting, or when we are talking in terms of work-life balance, the different functions, different members of the family may have to perform. So that redistribution of the function, expectations from the different members, if it is not, tend to differ, and resulting in quarrels and conflicts, anger, and all those factors. So as resulting in negatively affecting the family and interpersonal relationship. It is also shown, especially in the urban families, domestic violence has been increased. So one way of manifesting their anxiety, one way of manifesting their frustration would be show that particular frustration on the others. So we have, especially when we have, say, for example, in psychological terms, we use what a term called as a defense mechanism. Defense mechanism here refers to when you can't handle your negative emotions, try to show it on the others. So probably all of you are familiar with the example of, let us say, a boss and a subordinate. Subordinate boss, scolds the individual without any reason, and the subordinate knows very well that it is not his fault, but he can't show his anger or aggression on the boss. So what he will do? He will come back and shows his anger and aggression on the wife on the child on the toy, or child on the pet. So this is what is happening is, you are trying to show your anger or aggression. You can't show, handle it on your own. And as a result of it, the nearby domestic person or the member, you try to show it. So that's where the domestic violence has been found to be increasing because of the COVID situation. Lack of handling emotions properly is a factor. Okay, so boundaries and distracting from negative emotions can make your life easy. So that's where try to understand your negative emotions and try to deal with those emotions. So how to deal with that, we will try to discuss slightly later on. Okay, now when we come to let us say adolescents and young adults, because of the COVID, because of this pandemic, depression is being found to be more relevant among the young adults are concerned. No matter whether they are male or female, both of them tend to be affected by this particular symptom or a disorder called as depression. You may not reach the stage of psychiatric treatment, but still you feel low and you feel depressed, lack of interest, and all those factors. So depression in adolescence can result in some of these aspects. Probably you can introspect and then see whether all of these are there or some of these are there in you, so that it is possible for you to handle some of these factors. So disturbance of thinking. The first factor would be your thought process or thinking is being affected. So probably our mind, most of our mind would be, we think always negative. Okay, it's quite natural. So if something happens, you find, what if I get affected, or my family members gets affected, or if one of your member or relative or a friend is proved to be positive, then you think what to do, whether to talk to him, whether to go to their place, or whether if they come, what is going to happen to us. All that. We talk in terms of let us say negative thinking. So disturbance of thinking is one. Self-blame. You try to criticize your own self. I should have taken care, or I should have been more careful. All those components. So self-blame and self-criticism becomes a factor. Negative thoughts about future, what is likely to happen. Probably I may lose a job, or suppose, for example, if you're talking in terms of students, now you find, especially in our state, or throughout India also, when you say examinations are cancelled, or different types of evaluation system is there, whether I am able to let us say perform well, and if I don't perform well, what is likely to happen, or future goal would be affected because of this. So negative thoughts about the future is a factor. Difficulty in making decision. Okay, so how to take a decision, whether to go out, whether to continue, the different types of decisions with regard to the daily routine things, as well as your own goals and objectives which you have. So difficulty in taking a firm decision whether to do or not to do, you find it difficult, resulting in postponement, resulting in bad management of time. Okay, so that's a difficulty making decision. Inability to think clearly, that's where I was talking in terms of disturbance of thinking. So time when organizational and cognitive demands increase. So always there is a conflict. Probably about the two important components of our behavior. One is the heart and another is the brain. So logic and emotions are the two contrary factors. So when logic is there, there is no scope for emotion. When emotion is there, no logic will function. So always there is a conflict between logic and thinking. You find that you have taken injection, you have taken all precaution, but when you hear that somebody or your neighbor or your family member or your friend has affected, what will happen? I talked to that person, or I went to their house yesterday or nearly. Why I would also have picked up this particular component. So what happens now? Logic says that there is no danger, but the emotion says be careful, or probably the suspicion with regard to those factors. So inability to think clearly, and memory and concentration problem is a factor, especially when you talk in terms of academic factors are concerned. Now we find lack of memory. You would have studied, but when you try to recollect, when you try to recollect what is there, probably all those points which you have studied may not come at all. So as a result of it, your performance in the school, your performance in the college tend to be affected by that. Okay. So I would, let us say, concentrate more on the stress component is concerned, because when you talk in terms of anxiety and all other psychological factors that are there, stress is a major symptom that can be seen. So this world itself, especially when we talk in terms of 21st century itself was considered as a stress era or a stress period. Now with the pandemic coming in, it is much more. So when we talk in terms of stress, this stress is predominantly due to two factors. Okay, one is, in Kannada we say re, adare, hodare. So if and but is a major factor. So because of the COVID, lack of information, misinformation, misinterpretation of ideas. So as a result of it, what will happen now? So we tend to live more in if and but. And that if and but results in experience of stress. So how to handle this particular stress? I'll try to give some tips as to management of, let us say, stress is concerned. The first component for the stress management and the anxiety management is making little changes in your life can add up to a big feeling of relief. A small change in your life. Okay, so that is where how to bring it. I will try to discuss it slightly in the next slide is concerned. So making little changes in your life can add up to a big feeling of relief. Learn to recognize when you are feeling stressed and practice simple ways that you can relax. Okay, now, when we talk in terms of emotions, most of these emotional reactions are involuntary. You specifically, you don't want to get angry. Specifically, you don't want to get depressed. But whenever these emotions are there, these emotions are associated with certain glandular activities. So certain hormones get released. And as a result of this, hormones, what will happen now? You get agitated and corresponding physiological changes also happen. And as a result of it, you feel the stress is concerned. Now, all these are involuntary. You are not aware of. So when you become aware of, then automatically the glandular functions can be controlled. Okay, probably I'll give an example. If you look at, if you remember the last scene in the movies, climax scene between the hero and the villain. Okay, so what happens there? The villain goes on hitting the hero. So hero is experiencing anger, but doesn't want to hit suddenly or as soon as he gets the first blow. So what he will do? He will try to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So by the time 10 is counted, still if the anger is not controlled, then he starts pouncing. So what do you mean by that? He is becoming aware of trying to willfully control that I should not get angry, I should not hit that particular individual. So similarly, when you start experiencing certain amount of, let us say, the emotion, become aware of. So when you become aware of, then automatically relaxation comes in, and that relaxation will help you to handle stress is concerned. Okay, take a break, have a cold drink, get some fresh air, or close your eyes for a minute to focus, refocus is another simple thing that can be done. Okay, so if you are stressed, take a small walk. Okay, take a break from the activity that you are performing. Is a simple thing that you can follow. Stay positive to help friends and family cope with the stress is concerned. Now, many times the problem which you face or the stress which you experience, you may say that it is happening to you only. Others may not experience at all. You perceive that others are all fine. It is a problem for me only. So what happens? You really don't know. Others, your own friends also may be experiencing the same thing. Your family members also may be experiencing the same thing. So sharing that, your experience with them, they may also say that it is not only typical for you, we are also experiencing that. As a result of it, a sort of a social support system comes in, and that support will enhance a sort of a positive attitude towards the life, and that's where the stress can be handled. So stay positive is a factor. Experience or share your experiences, share your feelings to your friends and family so that it is possible for you to cope up. Okay. Let others know you are feeling overwhelmed and tell them how they can help. Now, this is another factor. So when you feel that you can't handle your emotions, then share your experience, and then ask to the people whom you feel that they can give an advice, they can help you, they can have resources to handle or to give you some suggestions as to how to deal with this situation is concerned. Let others know you are feeling overwhelmed and tell them how they can help. So ask for their help is a factor. Then allow yourself to simply say no to friends and family when you know you can't meet their demands without becoming overwhelmed. Now, this is another factor. Now, stress, when you say, predominantly, one of the factors is that learn the art of saying no. Okay, as I said, many times we want to say yes. I'm sorry. Many times we want to say no, but we will end up saying yes because we feel, what if the other person feels bad? Okay, so with that ray, okay, if and but, we land up saying yes, though we want to say no. That is where the problem comes in. Okay, so try to learn the art of saying no. Now, I am using specifically the word art of saying no. How do you say no is an important factor, because that person, relationship with that person is also equally important. So you cannot say curtly say no, I can't do that. But how do you say it? Over a period of time, you should learn the art of saying no. And when once you do that, your stress can be handled. Okay. So other factors, be prepared for unexpected problems such as traffic, lost pet, or a family emergency. So these are all the other factors that can be seen, especially during the pandemic situation is concerned. So be prepared for it. That means the unexpected can happen. Somewhere you should also develop the coping strategy, how to deal with this sort of a situation is concerned. Now, when you say reality is different from your own mental framework. All of us are optimistic, but over optimistic can lead you to a problem. You can't handle that at all, especially during the pandemic situation. Uncertainty is a major factor. Okay, you can't know, you don't know what. So people may say that I have not gone out at all, and I have not contacted any person, and my lifestyle is very, I've taken all precautions. But despite it, the report may say that the person is positive. Then how do you handle this? You have not handled this situation at all. Or the elderly members say that I don't want to be hospitalized at all. Okay, so how do you deal with this sort of a situation? Unexpected problems, or the family emergencies. How do you deal with it? Be prepared that such things can happen, and if such things can happen, how to deal with this? So be prepared for that particular factor. To whom to contact, especially when you talk in terms of these family members and relatives or friends are concerned. The one way that you can look into would be, they may not hear your words, they may not accept your suggestions, but they may have a person, he may be a relative or a friend, whose words the person may give more importance and may heed to. So what happens now? So if such things happen, can I ask that friend or a relative to talk to your family member, to your friend, to accept the reality and go for testing or for treatment and etc. So that's one. Prioritize. Now, I was talking about, let us say, the time management, right? So stress predominantly is because of lack of time. How to manage time is concerned. And that's where, prioritization is an important factor. So whenever we talk in terms of, let's say, time management, two important aspects we say. One is preparing the timetable. I think all of us are familiar. All of us are comfortable in preparing the timetable. But the problem is we prepare the timetable, but we do not adhere to it. That is where the problem is. Okay, so prioritization is an important factor. Now, one simple way of time management would be, as soon as you get up in the morning. So what you do would be have a 2x2 table. Draw a 2x2 table. Okay, so when you draw a 2x2 table, on the one side you talk in terms of urgency. On the other side, you talk in terms of importance. So when you have a 2x2 table, the four quadrants of that 2x2 table has this. Tasks that are very urgent and very important. Tasks that are very urgent but not important. Tasks that are not important but very urgent. And tasks that are important but not so urgent. So you have four quadrants. As soon as you get up in the morning, when you say that I have 10 tasks to be performed, not all tasks will be of equally urgent and equal importance. So what can be done now? So you try to prioritize. How do you prioritize? Task A is most urgent and most important, put one there. So that is the first thing that you have to do. There may be a task which is least important and not urgent also. So that could be the last one on your priority list. So prioritization would definitely help you in managing the time. As a result of it, what will happen? The time management also comes in. The stress also, the overload of that particular component also gets reduced. Write down feelings of sadness, frustration, anger, etc. One important tip I can give you is that of late that is being may not be encouraged by the parents. Somehow that's not being practiced now. Start writing the diary. Okay, before going to sleep, whatever that happens, on that particular day, whatever your experiences of that particular day, write it. Okay, so that would be one. And that's not the end of it. What you have to do would be, after a fortnight or once in a 15 days or once in a month, start reading what you have written in your diary for the past 15 days or 1 month. Why I am saying this would be, the day on which you write your experiences, probably you would have shouted, or you would have had a quarrel with your friend or a relative. On that day, when you write, you feel that whatever you have done, that is justified. What your action you tend to justify. After 1 month, you read, the emotion that was associated with that experience is now no more there. And then you feel how foolishly I have acted on that day. It was my own fault. I should not have conflicted, quarrel with that individual. And from that day onwards, the relationship gets addressed, ironed out, the differences get ironed out. So start writing the diary, and then periodically start reading the diary, what you have written, so that your emotional factor can be controlled or can be handled, especially with regard to the interpersonal relationships are concerned. Enjoy life's simple pleasures, like colorful flowers, dancing, music, social outings, and etc. Social outing, right now, it may not be there, but other factors, it is possible for you to do that. Probably when we say, it from psychological terms, all have three, roles in us. One is a parent, another is an adult, and another is a child. Okay, so all of us play these roles. Okay, so one of the role comes in whenever we are interacting with the other individual is concerned. But because of changes that are taking in the society, the scope for playing the child is being totally affected. So people, during the parenting itself, they say, don't act like child. Okay, so child is when we talk in terms of child, the two important characteristic features of children are, one is spontaneity. Okay, without any control, without any restrictions, whatever that happens. If they want child wants to laugh, cry, there is no hold bar. Okay, so automatically, spontaneously, they do that. Whereas, because of our socialization, say that we should not cry, we should not laugh loud. So as a result of it, what is happening now, though we want to cry, we can't cry that at all. We don't show our emotions of this. As a result of it, what will happen? There is one particular, all psychological problems. One theory tried to explain, is that, any negative experience which we have is, gets stored in, let us say, imagine inside us, we have a balloon, and any negative experience starts storing in that particular balloon. So when the balloon is fully bloated, no more it can hold the air. What will happen? It will burst. So all our negative experiences, if we don't share, if we can't share with the others, what will happen now? At one particular point of time, it bursts out, resulting in the psychological problems, etc. is concerned. So simple things like enjoying dancing, music, or any hobby for that matter, is a factor. For that, what do? We say that there is no time at all. That is where the prioritization. So even your talent and hobby also should have a time in the in your daily schedule. As a result of it, there is a scope for your child to come in play. As a result of it, the negative experiences can be controlled. Share your talents to better the lives of others, as well as your sense of well-being. So this is another factor that you can look into. Okay. Right. So stress management, how do we manage the stress? As I said, health is a combination of the physical and psychological. So exercise regularly. Physical exercise is an important component. Okay, so this is one aspect of it. Whatever the exercise that is possible, certain amount of physical activity becomes very much essential. Reduce the sedentary activities like TV, video games, etc. So have it, but have it for a particular period of time. So prioritization, importance, and time scheduling is an important factor. You can schedule the time, but adhering to that particular timetable is a challenging factor, especially when we're talking, normally when we are addressing the students, no student will be happy as soon as their results come out. Okay, so they take a pledge that, I expected this much and I have not got it. Next semester, definitely I score more. Okay, so that decision the person will take. And by the time if you look at our academic schedule is concerned, as soon as the result is out, the person takes the oath that this year definitely I will study right from the first day of my college. Okay, the colleges start, but the classes will not start in full swing because teachers will be busy with admission, teachers will be busy with evaluation and etc. So the person, what will happen, the student, let the first lesson be over, first chapter be over, then I start reading. By the time the first chapter is over, what will happen? Some function or some festival or the other comes in, and they say, let this first festival be over, then I will start reading. So by that time, especially in our culture, every month one festival or the other would be there. As a result of it, so the postponement, procrastination comes in. Or you may say that I should cut down on the TV, I should not watch this at all. Let this serial, which has come to a the ending, climax, let this serial be over, then I don't see the TV at all. By the time that serial comes to the climax, another serial would have reached the climax situation, and then you tend to continue with that. Now, this is where the reducing the sedentary activity is another factor. Have healthy eating habits. Having breakfast, this is where when we talk in terms of, let us say, food, earlier we were talking in terms of, let us say, balanced food. Now we talk in terms of diet. This is an important, a couple of years ago, I had been to a particular college, women's college, and I was addressing something on technology, addiction, and etc. And then the principal, meantime, came and told me, sir, please tell our, students, at least have breakfast on the day of examination and come. Now look at the component now. Okay, so what do you mean by that? Already there is a fear of examination, anxiety associated. As a result of anxiety, you may not feel hungry at all. The palpitations in the stomach would be there. So you skip breakfast, and all that hurry and anxiety, you come to the examination hall and look at the question paper, and suddenly you can't, your mind goes blank. Now, that blankness is facilitated by as I said, the glandular secretions, which I was talking about, due to the anxiety is concerned. If the food is there, automatically that food takes more time to releasing of that particular glandular secretion. As a result of it, what will happen now? Though you feel anxious, though you feel anxious, though you feel fear, that anxiety, actually the rate or the intensity of the anxiety can be reduced. So taking a food, nutritious food is an important factor. Avoid excess caffeine. When you're talking to the younger adults or adults, you find this. So when the anxiety is there, when the stress is there, consumption of tea and coffee, chocolates, etc. would increase, and resulting in the stress component is concerned. Okay. Two important components that we need to look into. You may make use of any of these, or there are number of, let us say, factors that are there. Yoga is there, relaxation is there, different forms of alternative therapies are there. All these would be useful, or any one of these would be useful, provided two important components. The two important components are, you should have faith in that, and you should have continuously practice that. Unfortunately, this is where the problem is. You may not have faith. Some other will tell you, or some friend or a relative will tell you, go to yoga, it will definitely help you. And you start going for yoga, and then there is a small break because of some emergency in the family or something. So then you coming back to yoga takes more time, or it doesn't take place at all, and you feel that, I tried yoga, it doesn't help at all. Then somebody else, I also tried, start, pranayama, it will help. So all these, or any of these, you should have faith that it will definitely help you. And the second thing would be, continuously you should practice. Only then the benefit of this stress management component can come in. Another point which I have already told you is learn the art of saying no. And when you start learn the art of saying no, definitely it will help. Two more slides as to how to handle this particular lockdown immediately after the, let us say, normalcy comes in. So what are the factors that need to be looked into? So the two slides with regard to that, probably if time permits, I think you can, any questions or clarifications you can ask. So coping with stress after lockdown. So sudden change in the scenario, you are used to a particular way of life, you are used to a routine, your pre-lockdown routine is being totally been affected, and now you find a suddenly change in the scenario. So the housewife have to prepare and get ready for all your early morning hassles that are there. If you are a working woman, then what will happen now? All those factors has to come back, and then some of these as I said, work-life balance are concerned. You would have adjusted, you would have re-allotted, redistributed the family functions and family roles during the lockdown. The members of the family would have shared all those from among yourself. But when once the normalcy comes in, everybody feels that their job is more important, and as a result of it, the sudden change in the scenario can take place. Be prepared for that itself. We are optimistic, and if not today, maybe a couple of months afterwards, the normalcy is likely to come back, and then you be prepared for that. Sudden shift of environment, work timing, people around also tend to vary. Okay, so as a result of it, the people with whom you used to interact, you used to work, okay, you used to share your experience, all those will undergo a change, and that's another factor. Mind takes time to adjust to this new shift. Now, this is another important aspect of psychological aspect. Change is inevitable, okay, but the problem would be, the human nature would be, whenever there is a change, there is a resistance to change. You never wanted work from home, but when it became when it came in, initially you started resisting it. Now you have adopted to that particular work from home component, and when once the normalcy comes in, you find, why should I go for workplace? I'm happy here itself. I can give lecture from my let us say sitting at home. I find that students are more interactive during the let us say online classes rather than offline class. So as a result, we wonder, why should I go? This is a factor. So mind takes time to adjust to this new shift, and understand the shift and time it takes to adjust and then move on. So suddenly there will be certain let us say drawbacks, and then that setback you should overcome. Okay, and automatically again the normalcy can come in, depending on your own mental attitude. The time that is required for you to bounce back to normalcy may change. Okay, so that's one. Remember, we were in the same dilemma before the lockdown started also. Okay, so this is a factor, and we did not know how to cope with the staying home, working from home, etc. But we got adjusted to that. Now we need to readjust post lockdown scenario. Okay, so this is a factor. Then we find that in regular times, 18% of the population declares to be in a situation of psychological distress. This figure has now risen to 52%. Okay, now you look at some of the statistics that has been coming out as a result of research in the on COVID and pre and during and post COVID scenario is concerned. This period of confinement will leave its mark on our work habits. So be prepared for that particular aspect. Companies or the institutions must prepare to welcome their employees back as soon as possible. So the classroom or has to be get ready. Security measures to be put in place. This is an important factor. Those who are weak in their mind, still they may have their own reservation or fear that of getting affected and etc. So the institutions also should provide a sort of a security measure. So students may feel afraid or fearful of coming to a college because of fear of getting contact. Okay, so college or the institution should provide some sort of a safety and security measure. Complete rearrangement of workplaces and habits also has to take place. So these are some of the factors that we need to take care of. Okay, so thank you very much. Any questions and clarifications, additional points that you want? I think I'm more happy to share with you. Yes, you can ask the question now. Manasa?
Yes, now it's open, unmuted. Yes, Manasa.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, during this lockdown, I had very bad time because I was a very social person. I used to
Mm.
talk every time, but I thought I would cope up with it through my hobbies.
Okay.
But during the lockdown, I found out that even my hobbies became like very boring. So
Mm.
I had anxiety and all that. I was not okay all the time.
Okay.
So even now, all my hobbies like painting and all that, uh, it's not interesting anymore. What? How do I make sure that I go back to my
Okay.
normal?
Okay. So you are trying to, let us say, continue or indulge in your hobby, but despite it, still you feel low and you feel anxious, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what can be done is that, sort of practicing a relaxation is an important factor. Okay. One way would be if you can, so meditation would be one factor. Okay. Focused meditation. I'm not saying that prayer or etc. So if you can sit calm down for, let us say, 15 minutes or 30 minutes, initially it would be difficult. So what happens is all negative thoughts come in. Let those thoughts come in, allow that to come, and then after a particular period of time the mind calms down, and try to practice this. That would definitely help you. Okay. That is one. Another aspect would be, you may be interested in painting. uh, Continue with that particular painting component, and then try to interpret that particular painting, because when you start painting, you would not have thought of a particular focus that this is what I should paint, right? So as you start painting it, at the end of it, you feel this is not what I wanted, right? Try to give meaning as to, after that is over, try to give meaning why this aspect has come in. Try to interpret that. That would actually help you to come out with your fear, come out with your anxiety, and then try to share that with the members with whom you have more confidence, and that will definitely help you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Okay.
Any other?
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Sir, since we are at home, we are locked up in the home. There are so
Yes.
many times when we feel depressed, when we don't feel like getting up or doing anything, and there are times when the past will come to our mind. That starts haunting, and when I am fine, I realize that it's done nothing good to me. But how do I tackle that part where I feel, no, this should have been done in this way, this went wrong, where is my life going, what is the direction of my life?
Okay. Right. So, as I said, the idle mind, is the devil's workshop. Okay. So, one way would be active is one particular factor. That's one particular factor. The second factor would be, as I said, feeling low is a common phenomenon that again tend to depend upon your own personality. Probably, if you do not, if you are, probably you may be a shy, timid person. If you are probably you are heard of what is called as an introvert. So probably if you are an introvert, probably I could make out. Okay. So if you are an introvert, you don't want to share your experiences with others. So you want to live your own personal life, and may not be able to enjoy or like sharing your experiences with others. So that could be one of the factor. Okay. So one way of doing, handling that would be, as I said, start writing your thoughts, especially whatever your negative thoughts that come in. Start writing it. Then that would automatically reduce the frequency of negative thoughts that come to your mind. Okay, so that is one way of handling it. The second way would be, I don't know what are your hobbies. Okay, how much of time you are spending in your hobby. Okay, so if you are not spending the time in your hobby, start developing, spend some time in that particular hobby. It may be music. So don't be shy that if I start singing, everybody is a bathroom singer. Okay, so if you feel that singing would be a particular factor, do not be bothered about what others say. They're all your own family members, right? So that's a factor. And I think that may definitely help you to handle this situation. Okay.
ಮತ್ತೆ ಯಾರಾದ್ರೂ ಇದ್ರೆ ಕೇಳ್ಬೋದು. Any other? Yes, Niranjan.
Please introduce yourself. Question. Please introduce yourself and ask question.
Sir, my name is Niranjan Hiramat and I'm studying in the second semester of LLB, sir.
Okay.
I have this issue that even though I know that I am worthy of things, I still have this inner gut feeling where I have self-doubt.
Okay.
Like whether or not I actually do deserve this or no. That has been troubling me a lot quite lately.
Okay. Okay. So is it in terms of only academics or non-academic also? Is it related to only your performance in the examination course, etc., or in general life itself you feel that?
In general, in life.
In general. Okay.
general.
Okay. So probably this is because you need a sort of you say pampering is required. So you are not getting that particular pampering. So if pampering doesn't mean, I'm not talking in terms of a negative aspect is concerned. So you need a boost quite often. So how do you get this boost? From where do you get this boost is an important factor. So probably one thing would be if you have, let us say, a friend. So that's the friend can help you in doing that. Say whatever you are doing is good. So there is nothing to worry. This sort of a support can come in. If it is an academic component is concerned, whatever you write, whatever you think, try to get a positive factor from your teachers or from your peer group. Okay. So what you are doing is right, and there is nothing. So this is probably you feel shy to tell to the others. Okay, and probably you may you have any siblings, brothers or sisters?
I have two sisters.
Okay, how close you are with your sisters?
Very close.
Okay, so if that is the case, then share with that particular component, and they try to let us say give you a boost that whatever you're doing, you are doing good. This sort of a pampering comes in. So try to get that particular component, and
that will lead me into a loop where, like, if I share this thing with my sisters, they'll get stressed out about it.
No. See, that's what I said. So how do you say is an important factor. Okay, what do you say is an important factor. Okay, that's why I asked you what type of relationship you have with your let us say siblings. Okay, so are they elder or younger?
They're elders.
They are elders.
I'm the youngest.
You are the youngest. So that definitely that what they do would be initially they would be giving you a sort of an advice, and that advice you may not like. Okay, so that advice when once you start adhering to that particular advice, automatically the type of support you get, they try to understand what you are saying, because whatever you say to their advice, they perceive it in a wrong way. They are not you're not hearing their advisors or their suggestions, and then still you are asking for their support or help. Okay, I think that would help you. Or if you have a close friend, okay, you can share with that. See, I'm not talking to you about sharing all those negative components that are there. What you can do would be whatever the positive little positive things that you have done. Okay, share it with them and then get it. Suppose, for example, you take a photograph and then try to show that this is what I have done. How beautiful is this? Okay, so these sort of small things that gives you a positive attitude will definitely help the situation.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah.
So thank you for your, yes.
Thank you once again, sir, for your positive psychological therapy in addressing the queries. Now, I invite my colleague and physical education faculty of our college, Sri Suresh Kumar, sir, to deliver vote of thanks.
Today, thank you, sir. Thank you, madam. Today, our college IQAC and Department of Physical Education organized a special talk on the psychological strategies to deal with the pandemic. It is the need of the hour to focus our attention on mental health than anything else. I hope today's special talk is very useful. At the outset, it is a privilege to render my heartfelt thanks to our Chief Executive Professor K. Suresh, sir, for his invaluable support and guidance to organize this program. I also extend my sincere thanks to Dr. S. Natas, sir, Principal of our college, who extend his kind cooperation to host this program. My heartfelt thanks to our distinguished resource person, Professor H.S. Ashok, Professor, retired Professor, Department of Psychology, Bangalore University, his valuable guidance and suggestion to stay fit. Indeed, it is a mind-blowing and great insight to the people. His guidance and suggestion is more relevant for all reasons and seasons. I thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I take this opportunity to express my thanks to all the participants, teaching staff, non-teaching staff, and our beloved students. Thank you one and all who wholeheartedly support for the success of this program. Lastly, I also extend my thanks to Professor Asma Tunisha Madam and Professor Madhukumar for their valuable and technical support. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Professor, sir. Ashok, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.